For the first visualization, I created a bubble graph to display the behavior appropriateness mean data. It was about different types of behaviors and their appropriateness in certain situations. It was interesting to see that some behaviors were acceptable in all situations but one, whereas others were unacceptable in all but one or two situations. The visualization made these interesting facts really stand out. A bubble graph was used to display the data. I placed the situations on the y-axis and the behaviors on the x-axis. Hovering over each of the behaviors on the x-axis gives the average of that behavior over all of the different situations, as shown here. The radius of each circle represents the mean of the appropriateness of that specific behavior in the specific situation. Hovering over a circle displays the mean value. With this visualization, you can quickly see how appropriate a behavior is in a certain situation. It is also extremely easy to compare situations and behaviors. I learned that visualizing data with a bubble graph can make comparisons easy to see. The second visualization I created was based on data about UK food trends. The data gave the consumption of different foods based on the year over a 40-year period in the UK. I found it interesting that there was a spike in total consumption when they started recording soft drinks, but that total consumption has been declining ever since. This spike and decline is very evident in the timeline graph of my visualization. I created a timeline to visualize the consumption of food over the years in the UK. Hovering over a circle displays the year associated with it, as shown here. Clicking on a year brings you to a tree representing the different foods consumed during that year. As we can see here, this one is for 2007. Hovering over the circles in the tree graph displays the amount consumed of that specific food. The radius of the circles are the amount of that food that was consumed. Clicking on the Back to Timeline button allows the user to click on another year. With this visualization, the timeline made the overall decline in food consumption very noticeable. Also, once the individual food groups were broken down in the tree graph, the different consumption amounts of those food types were easy to see and compare. I learned that even large data sets with many subgroups can still be visualized to help see trends and other statistics that would be otherwise very difficult to see in an Excel file. The third visualization I developed was based on the Serial Obesity Poverty dataset. This dataset was about the obesity rates for different groups of individuals. I thought that it was interesting that Colorado's favorite cereal is high in sugar, yet they had a low rate of obesity. So my first thought that high sugar cereals would be the main link between obesity was incorrect. I first spotted this interesting fact through my visualization. I used a map of the US that had the individual states outlined and placed a circle representing the amount of poverty in that state. I used shades of color to fill in the circles so that I could represent the weight category that is most common in that state. Hovering over the state allows the user to see the favorite cereal of that state along with the cereal's nutritional information. It also allows the user to see the weight category breakdown and exercise breakdown for that state. I also created multiple scatter plots that can be used by the user to compare the obesity percent for each state in different years, and also see this information based on different categories such as age, income, race, education, and gender. The map I used allows the main data to speak through a single visualization. With very few words, the user is able to see the state poverty and state weight category and compare with all other states in a glance. Then the scatter plots contain in-depth breakdowns that are easily seen. I learned that I can display multiple data points using a single circle. I was able to display the poverty rate of a state with a radius of the circle and also the weight category with the fill color of that circle. I also learned that having multiple visual graph types helps display complicated information easier.